Hello everybody and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions for another round of Premier League predictions. What an exciting week. Another banger of a week in the Premier League we've had, and we're going to dive into all the games, all the news, all the conspiracy theories, and Tom's got a ton of conspiracy theories. He's going to tell you who shot JR, he's going to tell you who shot Lincoln, he's going to tell you who shot Obama. I don't know. Looking into the future for that one. But before we get into all of that, we have to, as we always do now, go over the people that gave their predictions for last week and pick a winner based on who did the best. So we've had a load of people playing again, Tom, but as always, we get a load of people saying, how do we play? How do we play? Why do you charge so much? Well, firstly, the entrance fee is never going to change. It's £1,000 straight up. Secondly, you can send that in by check to this address on the screen right now. Thirdly, you just put your predictions down below. It's very, very simple. There'll be a little bit of a delay because of international break, but anyone who predicts this week will get a shout out on the next Premier League predictions video in a couple of weeks' time. But we will start with Shane O'Donnell, who got 6 points overall. Very well done, Shane. Got the correct score for this Wolves-Everton one, which bumped your score up nicely. Patrick Silk, regular predictor as well. He got 4 points. Not the best week, Patrick, but there's always next week or 2 weeks. No, always this week. Manny Sapper, normally a champion. I think he's given everyone a chance. Only 4 points for Manish this week. Judy, 8 points. Man United fan, must be absolutely buzzing after the victory. Fantastic performance, just pipped at the post this week. Our Watford fan, Roberto the Hornet, only 3 points, and he's still reeling from his unpredictable Hornet side. We have a new player, Liverpool fan, Josh Koska, who's come to us, Tom, from Grandstand Betters. Grandstand Betters, he's come over and subbed from their channel. We'll talk about Grandstand Betters a little bit later on in the video, but they are great tips to website. 5 points for you, Josh. Not a bad first time out. Correct score for the Chelsea game. Paul Ridgely, only 2 points for you, Paul. Not the best week, but it was a difficult week. Another new player is Christopher Mullins. Only 3 points for you, Christopher. Not the best of weeks, but again, it was difficult. Thanks for playing. Please play again this week. Another new player. So many new players. 0-10 Foster. Again, only 2 points. Not the best week for our new players, but please do come and predict again. Because, it's a lot of fun. And Snyball99. Snyball is a Brighton fan, Thomas. And he must be delighted with his Seagulls draw against Liverpool. And but he didn't back that. He didn't put that down. But he got 3 points overall. But we are tied. We are tied for the lead. Robert Allen, he is tying for the lead seemingly in every single round of either League One or Premier League at the moment. 9 points for Robert Allen. Correct score for Chelsea. Correct score for West Ham Villa. That was a good one to get. But Suhail Zubar has also got 9 points with that Wolves-Everton one. Getting a correct score for that one. Also a correct score for Chelsea. And as we made a decision, it was quite clear on the channel, Tom, that we made a decision that last game was winner takes all. Suhail Zubar has pipped, and once again, Suhail is the champion. Once again, Robert Allen comes in second. Always an unlucky loser, this guy. But please do try again next week. And well done to you, Suhail Zubar. A champion, a winner is you. But that is all of the hot dogging and grandstanding out of the way. Hit like, hit subscribe, comments and predictions down below. But we've got to dive into Premier League predictions, and there is only one place to start. It is the Manchester derby. It is Manchester United versus Manchester City.
I think you need to make reference to the fact that I'm quite clearly hiding.
Why are you hiding? You should be on cloud 9 after Ole put all the bad press behind him, changed his formation, changed his system, looked like a completely different side, went out and spanked a fantastic Tottenham side. Manchester City lost to Palace. Everything surely is going to be about Manchester United win this weekend.
I'm so afraid. I'm so scared. They're going to put 5 past us terrifying.
Do you think they will? Do you honestly think? Do you think it's going to be the same as the Liverpool game, or do you think they've learned from that?
Well, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is never going to play open football ever again because he's now proven beyond a reasonable doubt he can't do it. So we're going to play like we did against Spurs. We're going to put 8 players behind the ball, and then put Cavani, Ronaldo, and Bruno Fernandes up front, and go, "You 3 make it happen." And the rest of us are going to stand right in front of the goal and not let anyone through. Because that's what Man United did, and it worked very well against one of the most disjointed Spurs sides I've ever seen. We'll talk more about Spurs in the next game. It was the right tactics on the day. It beat the opposition team. It will most certainly not work against this Man City side. I cannot see Ronaldo getting the space to hit a volley like he got in that game. Fernandes was fantastic. That chip in was so good. Ronaldo with a goal and assist. Cavani looked awesome. Marcus Rashford got a goal as well. But it really just has. It's incredible how quickly in a week everything changes at a football club, and how quickly everyone goes to just like, oh, it's fine. Don't know what you're worried about. What I'm worried about is, I just have to do this, right? Paul Scholes and Rio Ferdinand were having a chat on Sky Sports after the Atalanta game. And Rio Ferdinand's like, come on, Scholesy. Come on, 2-0 down and you win. Be happy. And Paul Scholes goes, Rio, if I'm a fan, yeah, I'm happy because I just experienced a 3-2 come from behind victory. But as a football fan, I'm looking at Liverpool and I'm looking at City and I'm going, if we play like the way we did in the first half against Atalanta against them, we go in 3 or 4-0 down. It's prophetic words. He says that 3 days before Liverpool go out and spank 3 goals past Man United or whatever, 4 in the first half. I'm really, really just worried we're still going to be that disjointed. And it's either going to be a 0-0... we never show weakness, but it's either a 0-0 draw or a City win here, isn't it? Like, United are not good enough to beat this City side. They're just not. No. They're
a wounded animal, aren't they, City as well, after that defeat to Palace, where everything that could go wrong did go wrong. They're not going to have as bad a luck in another game, you would imagine. But Man United have put in good performances against City recently. That Solskjaer seems to find a way to beat Pep Guardiola's sides, and I don't know. Funny things have happened. Maybe they have just stumbled on something that's just going to get them through games and make them more compact. Because that is where he's had most of his success in the past.
That's how he's played every big game, right? Every big game against Chelsea, against City, against Liverpool, he aims for a 0-0 draw, and he was aiming for a 0-0 draw against Spurs for 40 minutes. Nothing happened in that match. And then it was a fantastic through ball from Fernandes, chipped over the top. And, this is what Ronaldo does. It was the whole reason they bought him. Put him at an angle, volley it, head it, get his dick, whack it in. He can do it.
He's just money, isn't he? He's the boy. Look, in games, I feel we've said these things before. You feel Man United need to score first if they've got any chance of winning. If City score first, it will be literally death by 1,000 cuts. Or 1,000 passes in this instance, and
12 goals.
Gary Neville, I think, said that City could beat Man United 1-0, and it could almost be a worse defeat than the Liverpool game because you just won't get the ball off them. And
0 shots on goal, 75% possession to your nearest rivals at home at Old Trafford. I mean, this is the problem with where United are at now. 75 million on Jadon Sancho, 30 million pounds, which was just the biggest cut price deal ever on one of the best centre backs in the world, in Varane. They got Ronaldo for 12. It doesn't matter if Ronaldo fits their style of play or not. There are now expectations, and those expectations are real because you have one of the 3 best teams, player for player, in the league. And I don't think Ole can get away with drawing 0-0 with City.
Martin Tyler described Fernandes and Ronaldo as Portuguese men of war. Now, I'm not sure if that's because he's saying they're lethal and deadly, or whether they're spineless jellyfish. So I'll leave you to make your own conclusions on that one. But I need a score from you, Thomas. It's reached that time.
Never show weakness. 2-1 to United.
I'm going 3-1 Manchester City.
Prepare yourselves to the next rant, because both of these sides I can go in on. It's Everton versus Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, well, Spurs have been the big headline grabbers, haven't they? Taken all the pressure off Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it literally just seemed to go all onto Nuno. He's been very average since he's been there. I mean, it was played 10, won 5, lost 5. and they're kind of like middle of the pack. And Daniel Levy's pulled the plug. It never seemed like the right fit. He never seemed like the right man. And all the talk is they're going to have Antonio Conte come in, which I can't believe. It just doesn't seem like a top. If Nuno didn't seem like a Tottenham manager, I don't think Conte seems like a Tottenham manager. So we'll see how that one works out with this lazy bunch of average players. But speaking of lazy bunch of average players,
I have a question.
Wait, I've got a segue. Speaking of lazy bunch of average players, tell me about Everton.
Oh my god, what a bunch of no talent assets. I love it. They win their first game under you just totally taking me away from my question. They win their first game under Rafa Benitez, and everyone's like, oh my god, he's so great. This Everton side are so great. Come 10 games into the season, they are exactly mid-table. They have a goal difference of 0, scored 16, conceded 16, and they've just been beaten by a Wolves side that, like, literally 2 weeks ago, their manager was going to get sacked. Well, now they're sitting in a Europa Conference place, a point below Arsenal and Man United, and you're just, how football changes so quickly. It's almost like we shouldn't judge teams based on 2 games.
Yeah, exaggeration on the Wolves manager, but we'll talk about him later on. It just seemed like, classic Everton, isn't it? You come in, it's a quick fix, everything's great, and then by the end of the season, they'll be bored of Rafa, they'll be booing him, it'll be Rafa out, and the next person will come along as probably be Nuno, won't it? It'll probably be Nuno next season, and it'll all be the merry-go-round again. But now you can ask me a Spurs question.
Yeah, Conte, are they signing him to quite literally try and keep Harry Kane? Because the more I think about this, the more I go, you've forced him to stay. You've forced him to. Every game, it's not even this like weird England Harry Kane that's like coming too deep. It's like a Harry Kane that's now afraid to shoot the football. And you're like, it's the only reason I can possibly think you bring in Conte, because it's the exact same style of play as Nuno.
I mean, I think that's a stretch. I don't think so. I think that you bring a manager like that in. He's a guy that would almost be a perfect fit for Manchester United, and we said this off camera, didn't they? He comes into a quality side, drills them into the ground, gets them so they're virtually impossible to beat, and wins titles. And then after a couple of years, everybody's pissed off with him, and he leaves. This Tottenham side's bang average. They haven't got any good players other than Son and Kane. And so what's he going to do with them? How is he going? I don't see them improving to the point where they'll be anywhere near challenging anything.
No. But Ian, we've now spoken for at least 20 minutes on essentially 2 football clubs. Give us your prediction for this game.
Spurs will win it. If Conte comes in, I just think Spurs will nick it. I don't know why. I think it would be a terrible game. 1-0 Tottenham.
Right, well, I mean, I hate to do it, but I'm doing the same thing. And let me just say that it's 1-0 to Tottenham and the BBC got this right the other day. And I think I read it in the Times as well. No matter what happens, Son just keeps playing. He just keeps creating chances. He just keeps making his runs. He never complains. He never hogs the limelight. He's too good to lose to Everton.
He's a treasure. He's a treasure. He is an absolute. He's Spurs fans should be delighted you've got a player. If all the other rest of the team showed half the kind of heart and desire he shows, you'd be all right. But we will move on to maybe the most one-sided game of the weekend: Chelsea versus Burnley. Top of the table, Chelsea versus Burnley.
And this game has goals in it, but I don't think I need to talk. The game talks for itself. 3-0 Chelsea.
Chelsea crushed the life out of Newcastle. They barely got out of their half, and they could have won by a hell of a lot more. Burnley, fantastic, got their first win. Well done, and it looked really good. And they got we talked about him last week a little bit. Maxwell Cornet. They do have a goal scorer, and they've got someone with like a lot of talent and a lot of skill. And they looked a bit more like the old Burnley, but they're not going to get anything here. And I think it might be. I'm going to go 4-0 to Chelsea.
West Ham United versus Liverpool.
We will get on to Liverpool. But first of all, West Ham, Thomas. Are they going to get there? Is David Moyes going to live the dream and get this West Ham side into the Champions League? Is he going to kick down that forbidden door and get them playing at Europe's... I can't think of the words. Most bountiful table. There we go. I found something. The answer is unequivocally no. No, he's not. Hell no. They're not good enough. They're having a great run. They're a good side, but they're not going to be top 4. Just enjoy the fact that you're not going to be suffering down the bottom for a bit, West Ham fans, because you are doing really well. So just enjoy it. Just don't have delusions of grandeur.
Declan Rice is literally one of the best midfielders in the country right now, and he's playing awesome football. And Michail Antonio is just become the sharpest tool at the top of this giant's spear. And then they've just surrounded these dudes with speed and like trickery. And if it's not working for Fornells, they bring on Lanzini. And it's just, it's a bit like West Ham are a bit like Aston Villa last season, where they have 1 or 2 world-class players surrounded by a bunch of good players. And, it's powering them. They're playing great, but they're coming up against probably the side that are currently the second best side in the Premier League, that are playing really great football, that, turned off for 5 minutes against Brighton, and Brighton got a couple goals back. But, they're unequivocally one of the best sides in the league, and I think they're going to put it on against West Ham, and I see Liverpool winning this game.
Yeah, it was a blip. Liverpool haven't lost a game for a long time. Haven't lost a game this season. Don't think they've lost a game quite a long time at the end of last season as well. So they're going to win, aren't they? They're going to be too powerful. And I don't.
It's going to be close. West Ham are a really good side.
I can see Souček getting a goal from a corner, but Liverpool just powering past them and winning. I'll let you go first, Tom, because I think I went first in the last couple.
2-0 to Liverpool.
I'm going to go closer, but I think Liverpool will be comfortable, but the scoreline won't be 2-1 Liverpool.
Arsenal versus Watford.
Oh my God, have I waited to talk about this team. What a team. What a side. What a manager. Everybody wanted him out. You were literally head of the Arteta out club, and he has proven you wrong, Thomas. He's proven that he's one of the elite managers, probably to ever manage Arsenal Football Club. I actually can't think of a better manager they've had. They're looking pretty good. They had a really good win against Leicester, scored some good goals. Ramsdale's in good form. Defence is looking pretty solid. They should beat this Watford side, but Watford is a basket case, so expect Watford to win this 3-0. I am going for an Arsenal 3-0 victory. Haha, reversed it.
I did watch the entire Arsenal game, and Ramsdale was really good. I mean, he was absolutely awesome. He had great control of his area. Arsenal gave up what must have been 4 or 5 just like open goal opportunities, and every time he just spread himself wide. And I was talking to a mate of mine who's an Arsenal fan, and I said this to him. I was like, it's great, and they deserve to beat Leicester. But they're going to need Ramsdale to do that every game, because they're as open at the back as Man United seem to be. I mean, it's just like all over the shop, giving up opportunities. But
no, I mean, the thing is, I mean, if you talk seriously about it, they're getting better. They're on a good run. They haven't lost since those early 3 games of the season, and They do look like they've got a bit more steel about them, but you feel the bad run is only just round the corner.
Yeah, you do, and they're also, they're young and they're going to have these times, and we've already seen it. But Smith Rowe, great goal. Think he's an awesome player. Saka's been a bit in and out this season. Aubameyang is at least looking like a leader on the pitch again. Like, he seems back with it, and sometimes when I watch him, I'm just not convinced he actually wants everyone else to succeed, but right now he seems like a team player. And they finally figured out, shock horror, that if you play 2 strikers, you look better up front, and Lacazette and Aubameyang are actually looking really good playing around each other. So Arsenal will probably win this 2-0.
Just because we've got Roberto, our Watford fan, who does his predictions, we'll just say, I just can't understand Watford. I can't understand them. How do you get lose 5-0, win 5-2, and then go and lose 1? It is a basket case, but at least it's never boring.
If you were enjoying this, please hit like, comment, subscribe, but more importantly, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers. Thank you to Grandstand Betters, Matthew Bowden, PJ Simpson, Robert Allen, and Christina Allen, amongst the many people that support us. And thank you to Grandstand Betters for getting this dope-ass hat, son! Grandstand Betters are awesome. Follow them. Take their picks. It's where it's at. They know their shit, baby. Anyway, enough of this. We love you all. Please consider supporting us on Patreon. And now to part 2 of our predictions. And it's Leeds United versus Leicester City.
They showed their true colours again, Leicester City. The cream rises to the top, and that is Arsenal. And the dirty, stinky garbage falls to the bottom, and that is Leicester City. Just appalling side. I think they lost to Arsenal for the first time ever in their history. So you can't dress these things up as good, Tom. Leeds have found their mojo. I'm going for a Leeds win here. 2-0 to the Whites.
Let me just say, I live in Leeds, and I'm really happy they won. But what a shit show of a team. But more importantly, I'm pretty sure the back four and defensive center midfielder for Leicester's out. Justin's out, Pereira's out, Fofana's out, and Ndidi's out. And in that Arsenal match, it was going. James Maddison was off his game, right? And he was off his game. He gave the ball away in the weirdest positions. But whoever the backup center midfielder was doing the same thing. And you don't get that when Ndidi's in there. So I think you're an absolute nutcase. Leicester look really good now with Evans and Soyuncu at the back. They definitely should have scored against that bang average Arsenal side. I mean, how many opportunities do you want to give your players? It was mad how many times they got one-on-one with Ramsdale, and instead of trying to place the shot, they just hit it as hard as they physically could. One of them hit him in the throat.
Those grapes are sour.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't think Leeds will win, and I will be in the city of Leeds, and I will be hiding for when that happens. But Leicester to win 2-1.
Phillips is back, Thomas. Phillips is back. Everything's right with the world in Leeds.
Crystal Palace versus Wolves.
I like both of these sides. I really do. I would like both of these sides to win and carry on their good form. Vieira, the invincible, taking his side up to Man City and getting an amazing 2-0 victory. That was superb. And they look good. And I don't really have too much more to say about them. He's doing a great job and they're carrying on well. I think Bruno Lama. There we
Dalai
go.
Lama.
The Dalai Lama. I think he's getting his Wolves side looking pretty good as well. What's up?
We had the Spirit managing them, and now we have the Dalai Lama. This is incredible.
That's very well worked out. But they were a bit iffy at the start, but it was mainly because they couldn't score goals. They're kind of sorting that out now, and they just look pretty solid. I think that if they would have not conceded that last-minute penalty to Leeds, that would have been 5 wins in a row. So I think let's split the difference. Go for a draw. 2 each.
Most important thing I saw was Will Zaha gave an interview afterwards in which he seemed pepped up, excited, for the first time in years he was enjoying playing, and quite clearly Patrick Vieira has gotten to him, and he seems motivated and he cares. And Will Zaha is one of those players that if he gives a shit, he can be world class on his day, at which point you're going to win a lot more football matches. The one problem Palace have is they've drawn 6 games this season. They just beaten City and their goal difference remains at -1. This is such an odd team.
Do you feel that everything's kind of been in black and white when Hodgson was there, and now it's the players can see in colour for the first time in 4 or 5 years?
I think they're attacking. I think Patrick Vieira came in there. It's right, let's talk about attacking movements. And Zaha was wait, what? No, I just get shouted at to defend, and I don't like doing it. And there's no, let's talk about getting the ball to you on an overlapping run. And he was tears in his eyes, just crying, being
I've got this image of Roy Hodgson, just with a newspaper and rolled up newspaper, and every time a Palace player would try and pass the ball forward, he'd just slap it. No, and then Patrick Vieira doesn't do that. So at the start they were scared, expecting to get hit, and then and then he doesn't do it. They're you could pass the ball forward, and they're all oh no.
They look really good, and also it goes without saying they put no money into this team under Hodgson, and they spent 60 or 70 million, and they brought in decent players. So Yeah, well done, Palace. It must be a bit more fun supporting them right now, because at least when they lose, they look like they're trying to win, and they weren't trying to draw 0-0. We spent a lot of time on this, but I like both these sides as well. And, the Dalai Lama's doing great things at Wolves. They look very zen, at peace. They look calm, composed. So, fuck it. I'll match you. 1-1.
And Palace fans, cracking banner that they put up against Newcastle. That is some superb artwork. Brighton and Hove Albion versus Newcastle United.
I can't deal with it. I can't deal with Brighton fans. I'm sorry. You guys are like your club is boring to watch. Like, congratulations, a great come from behind victory against Liverpool that no one, specifically Brighton,
They didn't win. They drew.
Well, they won. It was 2-2. They won that game. But literally, I was looking at this the other day. I don't think any team has drawn more games in the Premier League since they came into the league than Brighton. Brighton love to draw. They're the draw specialists, and we're now 10 games into the season, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, look at this run! Graham Potter's an England manager." Well, yeah, it was a really good start to the season. They won a bunch of games they should have won. They haven't won in 5 matches now. In that time, they've got 4 draws and a loss. And all of a sudden, you're looking at going, well, you've won 4, you've drawn 4, you've lost 2. You're getting right back into the Brighton we thought you'd be. Now, yeah, you banked some points, but Brighton have done this quite a few times in their Premier Leagues, where they look like they might cusp up. They might be that top 10 side, and they're not, because they lack speed, they lack composure in front of goal, and I'm not mad at you, Brighton. I'm not doing this because I hate you. You just don't have the quality in your squad to challenge Wolves, Spurs, Everton, Leicester, Crystal Palace, Villa, Southampton,
Norwich,
Leeds. I mean, I can pretty much name 16 sides with better teams than you, and you're slowly falling down the table. So thank you, the BBC specifically. Graham Potter, congratulations, you've had a good run. I'm not saying it.
I think you're a little bit harsh, but it did come off the back of getting a bit of a backlash from a Brighton fan in the comments. Not Snyball, that guy is a freaking legend. But it was a Brighton fan who started basically telling us about what a troubled history they've had.
Fraud! You're a fraud.
Look, you should be very proud of your side. You're going through a great time. Yeah. Staying in the Premier League year after year is a great achievement. Potter is a good manager, but you don't need to start saying that you're reinventing the fucking wheel here. And Newcastle shit, so Brighton probably will win. 2-0, Brighton.
Yeah, I mean, so the other thing is that I refuse to back Newcastle in a single game until at least Christmas. So
is that because of their owners?
Ian, as you well know, that we are currently funded by the PIF fund, so I can't say anything about this game. But I will say that I'm against a team that plays in white and black stripes.
Are you against beheadings in the street?
I'm just not a big fan of, kidnapping somebody in a consulate, chopping him into pieces, and then pretending that you have a good humanitarian rights record.
Well,
anyway, moving on.
Is where me and you agree to disagree, and we'll move on to Brentford versus Norwich City.
How, Ian? How are they still in the league? And why does anybody...
How are they still in the league? They've only played 10 games.
And yet they're already relegated.
They're doing their best.
I mean, this might be the fastest relegation in history. They have a minus 22 goal difference. They even equalized against Leeds. And Match the Day got it so right when they just highlighted, 4 different Leeds players that were just, looking at the defenders being like, what the are you doing? What are any of you doing? But, Norwich still contrived to lose by, Rafinha shooting directly at the goalkeeper or Rodrigo, and the goalkeeper, Timo Krul, choosing to miss it. But this Norwich side are garbage. It's not Daniel Farke's fault. I've heard a lot of people talk about, they spent 50 million this time, right? Well, that's absolutely nothing in the Premier League, and you spent nothing the time before that. So your bank balance has got to be plus 150 to 200 million at this point over the last 3 years. But there's a really good quote. I don't know if it was Paul Scholes or it might have been Chris Wilder talked about the wage structure needs to change. You can go out and spend £8 million on 4 players, but that's 8 million quid on 4 players. Ramsdale cost Sheffield United last year 20 million quid, and he's clearly cost Arsenal more. But then you've also got to pay them as well. £8 million is not money anymore. It's definitely not money for a player. That's not a bench player in the Premier League. You're buying championship caliber players and acting like they're bigger than they are, and they're not. And this Norwich side are going to drop like a rock, and at some point they will string a couple decent games together, because we saw at Sheffield United last year that you can't be this bad. No side is this bad. But you're garbage. I'm really sick of watching you play football. And Brentford, tough loss. Burnley played really well, but we know you're good. Brentford 2-0.
This is a bumper episode, folks. There's no League One this week, so I hope you're enjoying this bumper episode of League One.
It's been going for a while.
Yeah, I mean, just for last 2 seasons ago when they were in the Premier League, they were actually entertaining to watch, but they lost. I think they got worse. They're just not good. They're really not even fun to watch anymore. This Norwich City side, I don't even really think they play attractive football at all.
The BBC went out of their way at Match Today yesterday to point out how much everyone at Norwich cares and how Farke's trying to find the solution. And I don't doubt that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit like with Brighton, where I'm looking 1 to 11 in your team and going I don't know if any of you stay once the relegation happens.
Harsh comparisons to Norwich to Brighton there, but
I know it's really harsh on Norwich.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got really much to say about Brentford. I mean, we talked about it last week when we just said, look, if you've got to win games when you're playing well, because eventually you're going to have a game where you turn up and play a stinker, and that's pretty much what they did against Burnley. There's not too many games where they've been poor, but they were poor, and then they got thoroughly beaten. But they should. Come on, you've got to beat Norwich. They're the whipping boys. I'm going to even go. It's amazing to think Norwich won the league and Brentford went up in the playoffs.
I mean, Chris Wilder talked about it yesterday about how Norwich went up above them the year they came ninth. And you're
true, yeah. And thank you for sticking with us. And we're here. We've got to the final game. Southampton versus Aston Villa. Now, Tom, somewhere out in the desert, Arizona, I think, I'm picturing it, there is a man wandering on his own. He's lost. There are vultures circling around his head. That man is Dean Smith.
I feel really bad for Dean Smith. I do like the fact that the media like to pick and choose when a manager should die and when they shouldn't. And they were so happy to rip Nuno apart. And then the Dean Smith interview, the first thing they say is, a month ago you beat Man United at Old Trafford and you were flying. What? Oh, just a couple games. And people turn on you and you're like, yeah. Wait, when say anything nice to Nuno. Nuno was 4th in the Premier League 2 weeks ago, and now you're getting him sacked. So, Villa's real up and down show right now. They're really good. Buendia looks like a really good signing, but they just can't seem to get it together. They dropped Tyrone Mings. It came back to bite them. They should have had 4 sendings off. Was it Courtney House that just cracked what's his face in the neck?
He thought he'd better give he didn't get sent off for that as well. He got sent off for the other one. But he thought he'd better give the referee, if I might get away with the first one, so I better give him 2 chances to send me off.
And that was, they just kept doing that. The weirdest thing about that Village side is they were nasty in that game. They were snapping into tackles. They were committing fouls left, right, and center. I think Jared Bowen might have broken both of his legs playing that game. They were just... It was a very odd Villa performance. It's not what I'm used to seeing, but clearly they don't react well to going on a bad run-in.
Well, I think the thing with Dean Smith is it almost harkens back to a couple of seasons ago where they only just stayed up on the last day of the season, pretty much. And the fan base has been split on him for I'd say probably as long as he's been there, pretty much. Yeah. So this is all just every time they were going to have a bad run, there was always going to be loud shouts of getting him out, but I hope he doesn't. And Southampton just tick along, really, don't they, under Ralph Hasenhüttl? They just do enough to keep their heads above water. And I actually think Southampton might nick this game. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Saints win.
I mean, I genuinely, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think you could see Dean Smith get fired if they lose this game. I don't know why. It's one of those things, you're the fans don't want him there. Southampton, and this is totally random, and this is how we'll end the program. I think I'd like to see James Ward-Prowse play for Man United.
Oh.
I'm looking at that Southampton side, and he just reminds me a bit of Jordan Henderson. He's just really good on the ball, right? Really good, very composed, and we know he can hit a free kick better than pretty much anyone else in the league. But when we talk about these sides, I'm like, oh, Norwich aren't good enough to stay here anymore, and like Brighton are really average. Southampton have a player in James Ward-Prowse that is international caliber and just really good at what he does. And Southampton are going to tickle on. They're going to end somewhere between 12th and 17th this year, almost guaranteed.
Well, the bombshell has been dropped. The bomb has been dropped, and I hope you're all reeling and recovering from that crazy comment that Tom just made at the end. And just remember, folks, sometimes he feels like talking, sometimes he doesn't. So today he clearly did feel he was wanting to talk a lot, and I imagine he'll sleep very well in his little bed tonight, won't you, Thomas?
I will. On that note, please please comment, please subscribe. Feel free to just rip the 42 minutes of non-stop talking I've done in this video apart. Ian, you at least make sense half the time. Consider supporting us on Patreon. Check out Grandstand Betters. They are awesome. Matt Urenka is a savant. He tells Big Carl Robinson what lineup to put out, and Big Carl does it, and Oxford are in the playoffs, so you better do it as well. We will see you in 2 weeks because of this damn international break. Ugh.